Hi, I'm Dave Wurzel, and you're watching PHTV4 Spotlight. Today's Spotlight is on the Model UN team at Stagg High School in Palos Hills, Illinois. And with me today, we are fortunate to have on my right the club sponsor, head coach Brian Berg. And then on my left, I've got Dina and Kayla, who are both juniors on the team. And Model UN is really kind of interesting because it's I guess it's considered like a co-curricular academic type club, but it's competitive.
Yes.
And they do a lot of conferences, and they represent countries. And actually, Coach Berg, I'm going to ask you to elaborate on that. But before we do that, can you tell us about yourself as a teacher here, and how long have you been with this club, and that kind of background?
Absolutely. This is about my 20th year in the district. I started my first 5 at Sandburg and my last 15 here at Stagg. I've coached basketball and football at Andrews, Sandburg, and Stagg, and I'm currently the Model United Nations sponsor. This is our 9th year.
Congratulations. And you got some longevity going. And we'll have to do a full disclosure here. Brian and I did work together for a while. We taught at Sandburg at the same time. We coached together. He was a phenomenal teacher, a phenomenal coach, and for me this is a nice opportunity to revisit, and I'm excited that you're having such a great time here and with the Model UN. It's awesome. So take us into the next thing, like what does Model UN look like? And I know you have a conference coming up and you've got more down the road. What happens at a Model UN conference, and how is it competitive, like in what way?
So Model United Nations basically simulates the actual United Nations, and kids, they get roles as ambassadors, and then within those roles they're put into different committees where that committee is trying to solve a specific problem, and then our students play that role, and then their job is to create a solution for that problem.
And then they present that within the committee, and then maybe to a larger, like to the UN Assembly, sort of. Am I right on that?
Well, what they will do is they'll give their opening speech, they'll try to work on a resolution to that problem, and it's negotiation and compromise in formal debates, and then also informal debates where they're kind of working the room and doing some backdoor politics and behind-the-scenes politics, and then they work together as a whole committee to come up with a resolution. They draft that resolution, and then they present that as that committee's solution to that problem.
And I'm going to ask you in just a second, ladies. I know you have a conference coming up, who you're representing, what issue you're going to address, but because of the nature of the competition, they actually can present their position. They have no idea how that's going to play out. I mean, because other country representatives are going to present their ideas. Is that accurate?
Yes, absolutely, and that's the competition piece of showing your preparation skills, your debate skills, your compromise skills, your ability to talk one-on-one with people, and that's kind of how the competition piece works, because you have the colleges or the high schools that run these committees. They're constantly observing the kids and seeing how they're doing, along with their positions papers that they present before the conference, and that's kind of where you get that competition piece.
There's some tremendous life skills going on there. I mean, I get it. It's a high school club sport, but I mean, these type of skills go way beyond high school. I mean, what a great organization. All right, so you have a conference coming up, and I want to come back and hear about the others, but I know you have one real soon here. What country are you representing, and what issues are you addressing, without giving away your position just yet?
I'm representing Jordan, and we're working with atomic energy. Basically, I'm in the IAEA committee, and that's when we work with atomic energy to be able to get countries to either stop testing in general or to test it in a safe way in which the workers are safe and the communities are safe.
Okay, and Kayla, you're part of that same committee, right?
No.
Or that same team? No?
No, I'm a part of the Arab League, and we are like working with the Western Sahara, like the conflict in Western Sahara, and like I messed up.
No, that's okay.
We're working with the conflict in Western Sahara and like a solution to the problem and how to work with Morocco and the Western Saharan people.
Okay, so of Kayla and Dina here, they're representing Jordan and a West African, is that what you said, area?
Oh no,
I'm sorry.
I'm representing Jordan too.
Oh, you're representing, okay, so they're all representing Jordan, but dealing with different issues.
Different committees, yes.
I got you.
Issues, yeah.
Okay, all right. Then what other conferences do you have coming up? Like how many competitions do they have in a year?
Traditionally, we would try to do 3 or 4. Coming out of post-COVID here, we're trying to rebuild the club numbers back up because they kind of dipped during that time period. So this is actually going to be our first one at the University of Chicago. The goal would be then to hopefully plan and attend Northwestern University. In a normal year, we've done University of Chicago. We've been to Sandburg's one day a few years back, Northwestern, Notre Dame, and we try to give the kids different experiences. Then each year, the returning members kind of pick what conferences they want to do the following year.
All right, well, good luck. That sounds exciting, especially to make that trip downtown, or University of Chicago in this case, or Northwestern down the road. I'm sure you're looking forward to those, right? Let's turn away from this just a little bit, and how about you as a student in school? What's your favorite subject?
Currently, I really like calculus and biology.
Not debate or social studies?
I mean, those subjects are like enjoyable, but I like science and like mathematics a lot.
Okay, it's allowed. Very good. That's all right. Kayla, how about you too? What's your favorite subject?
I'm in a similar boat. Like math is just like my thing, but I also really love English.
Okay, excellent answer. Even better. As a former English teacher, that's the winning answer. How about any other clubs or activities or sports at Stagg?
Yeah, so we're actually in like similar clubs as well. So I'm in newspaper club and AV club, and there's many. There's debate, Charger Nation, Mathletes, of course Model UN, and I plan to do Batman in the spring, hopefully.
Wow, and you have time to be a student too and get homework done. Congratulations, that's quite a load. How about you, Kayla?
I'm not in a sport, but I'm also like a part of like Mathletes, debate, Charger Nation, and ACEs. You know, it's like a science competitive thing. So.
All right. Well, that's awesome. It's great to hear you're involved in so much. I mean, it's part of what makes high school so awesome, that you can do all those different things. You're juniors, but I'll throw out there, are you thinking about after high school yet? Do you have ideas on what you might study, or if you're going to school or a career or service where you're headed?
Okay, so I want to go into astrophysics, and so because it just like it's really interesting, honestly. But the thing is, I haven't actually taken a single physics course, and so I'm taking that next year. So we'll see if that even changes. Oh, sorry. But yeah.
Okay, good. And Kayla, how about you?
I'm not like completely sure on like what exactly, but definitely something in the math science field, like a scientist or a mathematician type thing. So
the advantage of being a junior, you have a little bit of time to figure it out, so that works all right. You're okay there. Final question for all three of you. All right, this is the fantasy question. Now I know that like when you go to your conferences or competitions, you get assigned a country, right? You don't get to pick that stuff. So we're gonna do the fantasy thing. You get to pick now. What country would you represent if you could choose, and then what issue would you like to address? And you get to imagine that you're on the team, you're one of these committee members, all right?
That works.
Coach Berg, you want to go first? Who would you be?
I would be the United States, and I'd address childhood hunger. And I would pick the United States because they have a position of power, and it's also a problem that's at home. And when things are at home, the United States tends to care a little bit more about those issues as delegates or ambassadors, and hopefully then that would help spread it to a worldwide solution to find an answer to childhood hunger.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to speak to that a little bit too. That raises that other issue, like representing Jordan, and you go to these conferences. Does that add an extra challenge to it being, for example, representing Jordan as compared to representing the United States, or is it purely maybe related to the issue itself?
I would argue certain countries have a little more prestige or influence, but then it also just depends on the topic. So if we're Jordan in the Arab League, that country is going to have a little more prominence. If it's another problem, they may be positioned a little lower on the spectrum. But if the kids do a good job with their preparation, with their negotiations, with their discussions, they can attach themselves to a country that has a little more influence and power and still get their way, but just maybe not directly through an indirect way of doing it.
Sounds a little bit like a chess match. All right, how about you, Jim? What country would you represent? What issue?
I would also represent the United States, and when it comes to poverty, because I feel like we house billionaires. However, like when you go to like Chicago or something, you see so many homeless people, and a lot of those homeless people are actually veterans. And so I feel like that's like a really big issue. And I remember my mom was like telling me, like, because she's like an immigrant from her country, and from the Middle East, and she was telling me that like when she first came here, like America is a very rich country, but to see so many homeless people just shows that there's something in the system that's just not right. And so I feel like that's like a big issue. And America has done things to like combat it, but I feel like there's not enough, and that like they should do more.
Yeah, very good example of a real life dilemma. And I would imagine sometimes these issues get addressed at Model UN, right? Kayla, how about yours?
Like a part of like the thing that I like about Model UN is that it kind of like you have to like separate yourself from the country you are and kind of take like a stance as if you were the country. And I kind of want to, although like I am Filipino, I still would want to kind of learn more about my country in a way where I'm kind of in an unbiased position. So I feel like that would be really interesting to like represent the Philippines in a way where I'm just viewing their politics and not it as like a connection like personally. So I feel like that would be really interesting. And the topic that I'd probably want to be like focusing on is like child labor and a lot to do with like, you know, fast fashion and like what are they called? A lot of like child labor that consists of like shoot, what are they called?
Like, are you talking about? I'm assuming she's referencing child labor to maybe the high end products too. I mean, there's obviously big names in fashion that, you know, every now and then we hear about that are also taking advantage of cheap labor overseas, and a lot of times those labor conditions don't match up to a standard of living, or people are being exploited. I'm assuming those are the issues you're talking about. Is that? Do you want to? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And you know. Caleb brings up an interesting point about Model UN also, the opportunity, and I think Dina addressed this too, to research a topic and actually get at the heart of something. So whether you have a personal connection or not, or it's part of a background or not, you have a chance to research it and try and evaluate it objectively. And what is the impact of this thing? I mean, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, the idea is to keep your personal feelings or even maybe your personal background out of it and have to look at it very sterile and objectively, so that way you're solving that problem based off not how you feel about that problem, but how that country or that ambassador feels about that problem.
Right, and I can see where that would be a tricky thing because you
Hard skill.
yeah, absolutely, and yet the importance of being able to kind of detach, research it objectively, kind of work through it, hopefully to a good solution, right? Coach Berg, thank you very much for being here this morning. Dina, Kayla, thank you for coming in this morning. Good luck with your season. It's exciting. I hope you get to represent some of the countries and issues that you're excited about. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Wurzel, and you've been watching PHTV4 Spotlight. Today's Spotlight has been on the Model UN team at Stagg High School. Thank you for watching.